So if you ever hear this saying that goes, it takes a village to raise a child, literally I'm that child. So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I make one video every week on employment, skills development, entrepreneurship, and once in a while I do a service review. Today's video is a personal get to know me video where I just sit down and I talk to you about who I am, where I come from, and why I have this YouTube channel. So first things first, my name is Samantha Dika. I'm from Bari in Harare originally, but now I'm living and working in the Middle East in Dubai, working for an airline as a flight attendant. I've been at this job with Emirates for almost 5 years now. But before I came here, I was a public relations manager at a supermarket. I had at one point ventured into my own business, which was a tailoring business where I was designing and making clothes, custom-made garments. I've worked as a waitress before, and somewhere in my history I was a pageant model. I modeled and I was titled Miss Tourism Harare 2009 to 2010. And then I was Miss Earth Zimbabwe for 2000 and Google in 2013. And that about sums up my career life. But at the time of this recording, I'm 32 and a half years old. And I'm one of those really special people who's been privileged to have two sets of parents, my birth parents and the parents who raised me. So I was born to a fine young lady, quite the disciplinarian too, but I have such fond memories of her. My mom died when I was about 10 years old, and at the time she was a single parent raising me on her own, working a job as a maid, a housemaid, and a baby minder. And she'd been a single mom out of choice after having gathered the courage to leave my father, who was quite an abusive man. So the memories I have of my parents, my birth parents, up to the time that my mom passed away, was of my dad beating up my mom when she asked him where he'd been all night, when he decides to come home at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. or even 7 a.m. literally just to take a shower and go back to work. And she used to get beaten for that. Like, I'm the man of the house, so you don't ask me where I've been. And yeah, so she used to get battered for that. And I remember another time he came home really late, and she just stayed in bed and pretended that she didn't hear that he's come in. You know, she just ignored him. But he dragged her outside of the bed to say, why aren't you asking me where I've been? So you don't care about me. And yeah, so basically she used to get beaten for everything, for asking where he's been, for not asking where he's been. And by the time that I was 8 years old, I had seen my mom try to commit suicide 3 times. She drank poison, and I remember one time I was in the car when she did this next maneuver. She was arguing with my dad, and she just opened the door. She was in the passenger seat. She just opened the door on the highway and stepped out. So she had like this massive injury on her foot, on her leg rather, sorry, on her leg. Yeah, so yeah, that was really pretty bad. And this is like me in my 7 years, 8 years old. And from all the trauma that she went through, I think the one memory that sticks the most, when she really wept and she cried, was when my dad was using us, the children, and used me to go to a neighbor's house to deliver money or something he'd bought for this woman. Yeah, so my mom was really hurt and she cried. She wept so much. And I think even at that time she was a bit angry at me. I just remember her being angry at me that I had gone to this woman's house and being so naive. I think this all happened by the time I was 8 years old. And yeah, so anyway, that part of the history is my mom. So on my dad's side of things, my dad passed away a year after my mom passed away. So I think by the time I was now 11, he had now passed away and I was left as an orphan. But my grandmother from my mom's side was always with me, and she always had a really good relationship with my mom. So I had a special bond with my grandmother from my mom's side. But from my dad's side, I was kind of an outcast and rejected, I guess, so to say, rejected by my dad's mom, because my dad's mom didn't like my mom. So along with my mom, I was like, we're just outcasts. So I don't really speak much on my dad's side of the family. I didn't grow up with them. I don't know them very well. Yeah, but basically by the time I was 11, both my parents had passed away. So when my mom died, the people that she was working for, who actually had named me Samantha at birth, then took me in and raised me. So I was raised in an English family, the best family I could ever ask for. God has just been so good, and He graced me with the most supportive, encouraging, loving, and wholesome family. Like, He literally gave a father to the fatherless, and He just restored me. And even though I was orphaned by the time I was 11, I have never lacked. I have been well taken care of. I've been taken to the best schools, same schools that my sisters were going to. And I am where I am and what I am because of the love and beautiful home that I've grown up in. Even though I was being raised by my English family, they really wanted me to stay in touch with my birth family. So I was encouraged to grow up knowing my grandmother, knowing my roots. And every weekend I would go back to Mbare, where my grandmother was. So I would spend my weekends with my gran. And holidays and school holidays I would spend with my grandmother. So even though I would go to my grandmother also really wanted me to know my family. Like extended family, cousins, her sisters, her uncles, and everybody. So I would spend the holidays literally going from house to house to house. And because of this, I've really grown up in touch with my mom's side of the family as well. So I'm really close with my aunts. I was really, really close with my grandmother. My grandmother was so protective over me, and I don't know. Man, just thinking about her, I would just want to cry, because she then, yeah, it's getting hard. She then passed away in 2016 after I joined Emirates. And so okay, I feel better now. So my grandmother was like really one of those instrumental people in shaping me as well. So if you ever heard the saying that says, it takes a village to raise a child, I'm that child. So yeah, I speak our local language. I love our traditional food, and I love the English food as well. So it was really funny growing up. Not really funny, but it was really amazing growing up, and the adjusting that I needed to do, because during the week, say Monday to Friday, I would be with my family. And we have like burgers for supper, we have steak and chips for supper, we have fish and chips, we have noodles for supper, and we have bacon and eggs for breakfast. And then I will go to my grandmother, where we have sadza, which is like a local staple food, and meat was quite the luxury. So I would just literally come from all of this, from eating one way and being one way, and then going to my grandmother's. And she struggled, like she couldn't take care of me. So it was really a blessing that I had a family take me in and take me to school and everything. So, but it was such a contrast, really, of even just, this is a simple basic example of just the food, like on the food side, like I would be having this and then go to my grandmother and literally have a total opposite, totally different lifestyle. Even the house where, in my parents' house, if we see a cockroach, you're going to scream and, oh my God. And then to my grandmother's house, where it's cockroach infested. And it's normal and it's okay. And you don't stop eating because you've seen a cockroach or a cockroach just walked over your food. So it was like, yeah, whatever, you know. So really, I have such a strong stomach, guys. I honestly, I don't get sick over little things. Anyway, my grandmother did the best with what she had, but what she did have the most was the biggest heart. Like, she was just the most loving, most uniting woman ever. So when I went over to my grandmother's house for the holidays, I was the only female grandchild she had. And I think at the time there was my uncle, who was my mom's twin brother, his son. My aunt, she had 3 boys. Another aunt of mine, my grandmother's firstborn, and my grand, that makes 7, myself 8. This was the minimum number of people that would be at the house over the weekend or over the school holidays. And my culture, from where I come from, as the girl, you had to do the work. Like, literally, the girls do the work. So I remember having to wake up super early before everybody else, even like as young as 12, 13, 14. Like, this was a routine, standard. You wake up really early, you clean the house, you put porridge on the stove, which is, we call it bota, which is like I don't know if you know pap, sadza, ugali. It's similar texture, but you make it really soft, and then you can put peanut butter, or some people would put butter, but I don't eat butter. So you have this, you make breakfast, and then once everyone's had breakfast, I would have to clean the dishes, clean the house, and then start making lunch for everyone. After making lunch, clean the dishes, tidy up the house again, and start making dinner. So literally, this was my time. So this was really quite the contrast. And whereas at my parents' house, you know, we've always had help. So even if I had a sandwich, I would just go leave my plate by the sink because we had help. You know, so this is how I grew up. This is literally how I grew up. But it's such a beautiful thing because it's really shaped me to appreciate both sides of both worlds. And I'm so appreciative of the way that I've grown up and all the lessons that I've learned in my life. But of course, it doesn't come without its challenges. As I've said, like, it was quite hard work where I had to do all of this, like, literal housework. But it's made me stronger, and it's really helped me to be a better adult and to know how to manage the house and to clean and just to take care of myself. So I thank God for that. And also in moments of lack, in moments where I don't have enough money to treat myself to the extravagant meals and stuff like that, I can do really well with very little. So I'm being really, really well adjusted with that. But the biggest challenge that I now faced from always being in people's homes and literally just adjusting to how people are living, it's trained me to adjust. I adjust very easily, very quickly. I know what's expected of me in different social settings because of the upbringing that I have. So most times I would just go to a person's house and I need less than a day to study what kind of routine they have going on, and then I just fit right in. So the challenge that this created for me as an individual in my personality is that it just made me more of a chameleon, where I just find myself becoming the person that I'm with. Like, I just started struggling and wondering, like, you know, who am I really? So the complex it created in me is that I now had a form of identity crisis where I didn't really know who I am, and I will start speaking like the person I'm with. That was the one thing that I struggled with as a result of my upbringing, really. So just breaking out of that has been really, really hard. And I feel like having come to Dubai and being at work, being alone for like the past 5 years has really helped me, like, just to develop my own personal character. And really, it's literally like formative years again. Like, I'm literally learning who I am, and I think that's all the special detail about who I am and where I'm from. But of course, as I make more and more videos, I will be telling stories from my past or things that I've gone through, things that I've experienced. So we'll get to know each other much, much more. You'll get to know me on a deeper level as you watch my videos. I can't really tell you my whole life story in one sitting, but this is mostly it. I think this is the most personal stuff that I can tell you, in case you were wondering. And anything else that you will wonder or want to know about me, you can just post your comments or questions in the comment section below, and I will answer you and I will respond to your questions, thoughts, and feedback individually as transparently as possible. So now moving on to why I'm starting this channel. I just love helping people so much. I think it comes from my upbringing, where I've been helped by so many people, and I know that if God hadn't used certain people, if people hadn't responded to God using them to bless me and to speak into my life and to bring me up, I wouldn't be who I am or what I am today. So whatever I find information in the world, whatever I read about, whatever I come into contact with that I feel will be helpful to somebody else, that will help somebody else go through whatever they're going through, I want to share it. So this is why I've created this channel. And one of the things that my grandmother taught me was that never rely on your education. Never rely on your educational qualifications. So while I got a great education, which I'm so proud of, and I love that I have it, because without the education, I'm not able to do certain work that I can do now and to be a blessing to my society and to my family as well. So I really appreciate the knowledge and education. I'm not discrediting it, but my grandmother always told me that as a woman, she used to say as a woman, but of course now I will say as an individual, as a person, every person. But she said to me, as a woman, you need to have something you do with your hands, something that's not attached to your educational qualifications, something that you can do personally. So she really encouraged me to look into my natural talents, giftings, and abilities, and to harness those and to use those to make a living. Like, you know, you just never know when maybe you have all these educational qualifications, but you can't get a job for one reason or the other. So know how to use your hands so that you can even grow your own vegetables. And because of this advice, I've really developed a passion and a love for entrepreneurship. My friends call me a hustler, like, yeah, for real. Like, I can just literally look at anything that somebody's doing. I'm like, oh, how can you make money out of that? Like, oh, you paint, how can you make money from that? Where are you selling your artwork? And I'm always thinking like this, like, how can you monetize this? How can you make the most of your talent, your natural abilities? And, you know, so because of course, like I've said, everything kind of comes from somewhere. The dots are linking, right? So my grandmother saying this to me all the time as I was growing up has really led me and has given me a desire for entrepreneurship that I can't even explain where else it would come from, you know. So this is about it for now. I really hope you've liked the video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up and leave your comments for me in the comment section below. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.